a fruit you thought was keeping you healthy. But by morning, it could trigger a stroke that changes your life forever. As a brain doctor, I was shocked when I discovered the truth. Because this one fruit, loved by millions of seniors, can silently raise your stroke risk overnight. And the scariest part? Most people have no idea. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could save your life, or the life of someone you love. I still remember the moment when my patient, Mr. Harris, a 72-year-old retired teacher, walked into my clinic one bright morning. He was cheerful, smiling, and full of energy. He had recently moved to the countryside with his wife to enjoy a quieter life after years of city stress. He looked healthier than many people his age, and I was genuinely impressed. His blood pressure was under control, his cholesterol had improved, and he told me proudly that he was eating more fruits and vegetables than ever before. But as I looked through his blood test reports and his recent brain scan, something puzzled me. His risk markers for stroke were unusually high, despite his healthy lifestyle changes. I leaned back in my chair and asked him carefully, "Tell me more about your diet, Mr. Harris. What do you eat on a daily basis?" He smiled and said, "Doctor, I eat fruit all the time now, especially my favorite one. I eat it every night before bed. It's delicious and sweet, and I've read it's good for seniors." At first, I didn't think much of it. Fruits are usually protective, but when he mentioned the name of that particular fruit, my heart skipped a beat. I felt a wave of surprise, even shock, because as a brain doctor who has spent decades studying the relationship between diet and brain health, I knew something that many people don't. This very fruit, when consumed in excess, can dramatically raise the risk of stroke, especially in older adults. And it doesn't take months or years to show its impact. For some vulnerable individuals, the effect can appear overnight. You see, strokes are one of the most devastating conditions that can affect seniors. They occur when blood flow to the brain is blocked, or when a blood vessel in the brain bursts. Within minutes, brain cells begin to die. For patients, the consequences can be tragic: paralysis, speech difficulties, memory loss, and in many cases, death. Over the years, I have treated countless stroke patients, and each case is a painful reminder of how fragile life can be. Most people know about the common risk factors: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, diabetes, obesity, and family history. But what often gets overlooked is diet, and not just unhealthy food, like fried snacks or processed sugar. Sometimes even natural foods, when eaten the wrong way, can act like silent triggers. And that was the case here. The fruit Mr. Harris was eating so religiously every night was grapefruit. Yes, the same fruit that is marketed as heart-healthy, rich in vitamin C, and a great antioxidant source. But here is the shocking truth. Grapefruit interacts with many common medications, especially those used by seniors, in a way that can make them dangerous. When grapefruit juice enters your system, it interferes with enzymes in the liver and intestines that normally break down medicines. Instead of being metabolized at a safe rate, the medication lingers in the bloodstream at higher concentrations. Imagine your body being exposed to 2 or 3 times the intended dose, without you even knowing it. For older adults on blood pressure pills, blood thinners, cholesterol medications, or even anti-anxiety drugs, this can be catastrophic. Blood pressure can drop too low, clotting can become unstable, and the delicate balance of circulation in the brain can tip toward disaster. The result? A sudden, unexpected stroke. The terrifying part is that this doesn't take weeks to build up. Just a single large serving of grapefruit, especially at night when the body's metabolism slows down, can change the way medications are absorbed by morning. Seniors wake up dizzy, weak, or in some cases, they don't wake up at all. I've seen cases where patients were rushed to the hospital overnight with massive strokes. And later, we discovered the only change in their lifestyle was adding grapefruit to their evening routine. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Isn't fruit always good for you? Aren't doctors constantly telling us to eat more fruits? And yes, in general, fruits are protective and full of fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. But the body of an older adult is not the same as that of a young person. The kidneys, the liver, and the cardiovascular system, all of them work more slowly with age. Add prescription medications to the mix, and suddenly the interaction becomes a dangerous cocktail. Grapefruit just happens to be one of the most powerful disruptors of this delicate balance. I explained this to Mr. Harris gently. He was stunned. He had been eating grapefruit at night for months, believing it was improving his health. In reality, it was increasing his risk of stroke with every bite. When we removed grapefruit from his diet and adjusted his medication schedule, his risk markers improved within weeks. He was fortunate that he hadn't experienced a full-blown stroke yet. But not all patients are so lucky. Mrs. Leonard, another patient of mine, wasn't as fortunate. She was 79, living independently and in relatively good health. She loved grapefruit juice and drank a glass every morning with her breakfast. She was also on blood thinners after a mild heart attack. One night, she was found collapsed on the floor by her daughter. By the time she reached the hospital, she had suffered a severe ischemic stroke. When we examined her case, the interaction between her medication and daily grapefruit juice stood out like a red flag. She survived, but the stroke left her partially paralyzed, and her once independent life was never the same again. These are the stories that drive me to speak up. Because most seniors don't know this. They assume that if something is natural, it must be safe. But the truth is, natural doesn't always mean harmless. In fact, in certain contexts, natural can be lethal. Let me take a step back and explain the science more clearly. In our digestive tract, we have an enzyme called CYP3A4. It acts like a gatekeeper, breaking down many drugs before they enter the bloodstream. Grapefruit contains natural chemicals called furanocoumarins, which block this enzyme. Without CYP3A4 doing its job, medications that should have been broken down remain active at dangerously high levels. For example, a blood pressure pill that was supposed to lower your pressure slightly may now lower it drastically. A cholesterol-lowering statin that was supposed to be gentle on your liver may now overwhelm it. A blood thinner that was meant to keep clots away may now thin the blood so much that even a small vessel in the brain bursts. This isn't just theory. It has been documented in medical journals for decades. Yet many seniors and even some doctors overlook it in daily practice. Now imagine this risk compounding at night. When you eat grapefruit before bed, your body processes it slowly while you sleep. By morning, when you take your medications, the enzyme is still blocked, and the interaction is at its peak. That is why strokes and sudden cardiovascular events often happen in the early hours of the morning. They align with this biological timing. As a brain doctor, I've made it my mission to raise awareness about these hidden dangers. Because prevention is always better than cure, treating a stroke after it happens is often heartbreaking. We can use clot-busting drugs, surgeries, and rehabilitation, but the damage to brain cells is often permanent. The real victory is in prevention, making small, smart choices before tragedy strikes. So what should seniors do? First, always talk to your doctor or pharmacist before adding a new fruit or supplement to your diet. It may sound unnecessary, but with medications, even one glass of juice can make a difference. Second, be aware of high-risk fruits like grapefruit, pomelo, and Seville oranges, which contain the same enzyme-blocking compounds. Third, focus on safer alternatives. Apples, berries, pears, and bananas are generally safe and provide all the vitamins and fiber without the dangerous interactions. I also advise patients to spread out their fruit intake and avoid eating high-sugar fruits late at night. Nighttime is when the body should rest, repair, and balance blood sugar levels. Overloading it with sugar, even natural sugar, can increase inflammation and stress the circulatory system. Mr. Harris, after removing grapefruit from his diet, began enjoying blueberries and apples instead. He now eats them earlier in the day alongside his breakfast or lunch. He has more energy. His sleep has improved, and his stroke risk has dropped. He often tells me, "Doctor, I never knew something as small as fruit timing could make such a big difference." That's the lesson I want to leave with you. Health is not just about what you eat, but when you eat it, how it interacts with your body, and what else you are taking. For seniors, this awareness can be life-saving. Every time I recall the shocked look on Mr. Harris's face, I'm reminded of how important it is to speak out. Grapefruit may look harmless, but for seniors on medication, it can turn into a silent assassin. It can raise stroke risk overnight, quite literally while you sleep. And knowledge, the simple awareness of this fact, can save lives. So, if you or your loved ones are over 60, taking medications, and eating grapefruit regularly, I urge you, stop and consult your doctor. Don't let an innocent-looking fruit become the cause of a devastating stroke. Prevention is in your hands, and sometimes all it takes is one small change to protect your brain, your independence, and your future. And let me be very clear here. This story is not meant to scare you away from all fruits. Far from it. Fruits are powerful allies in fighting aging, heart disease, memory loss, and cancer. But just like medicine, the right fruit at the right time makes all the difference. Grapefruit is the exception that proves the rule. I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning with full control of your body, your memory intact, and your independence preserved. That is the gift of prevention. That is the reward of making informed choices today. And as a doctor who has witnessed both the devastation of strokes and the joy of prevention, I promise you, the choice is worth it. So the next time you reach for fruit before bedtime, remember Mr. Harris, remember Mrs. Leonard, and remember that even nature has its hidden traps. Be wise, be cautious, and protect your brain health with the knowledge you now have. This message could save your life, or the life of someone you love. And that is why I felt compelled to share it with you today.